This is a tutorial on how to create this advanced duplication edit that also involves a green screen. I've made over 100 creative edits and landed multiple 5-figure brand deals as a content creator. And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro. One cafe latte, please. And all you need is your phone. At just $7, this training will teach you how I created my best edits that allowed me to charge 5 figures per video on brand deals. You'd spend $7 on a coffee, so why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing game so that you can gain followers and land higher paying brand deals. Jan 27. For only $7, learn how I made my most creative edits in one live session. Register by commenting the words Edit Pro down below. I'll see you there! The difficulty level of this reel is roughly a 3 out of 5 or maybe 4 out of 5 depending on how familiar you are with some of these techniques. The techniques used include video layering, green screen, masking, and also keyframing. The app that I will be using to demonstrate will be CapCut, but you can also easily do this in other apps like VN Video Editor. Here are some examples of how to apply this to your niche. Pause to read and let's get into it. First, let's take a look at the clips that you will need for this particular reel. So in the very beginning, I start with this clip where I have a green screen. Technically, it's a blue screen because I'm wearing green, so I used blue instead. All I did was I went to IG Stories, I found the color blue, and I filled the screen with it, and I downloaded that photo and I put it on my phone screen. And I wanted to make sure that there was a lot of motion from the beginning, so I removed this blue screen and I started walking right away. And for this particular reel, we filmed it with a camera and we used the Sony ZV-E1 in the dynamic active mode in order to get it so smooth without using a gimbal. Here is the next clip, and this is the videographer handing me the coffee. It's just a connecting clip to give more context and also to show the name of the workshop that I was doing, which you also have a replay for in this course, of course, as a bonus in case you didn't know. And then we continue here because we want to continue the motion. So you can see me coming here, ordering a coffee so that there's a full story, ordered the coffee. Next thing, somebody hands me the coffee. And then next thing, I pick up the coffee and start talking. So there's a clear sequence to everything. And then I cover the full screen with a coffee cup, making sure to make it fully black. This is very important because the next shot we're going to start with the screen being covered by the same coffee, and we go from here out. And then this next part, I'm just continuing the dialogue here by talking about the $7 price of the workshop. And then lastly, I continue on to this duplication where we put this on a tripod, and this is very, very important. If you're going to create a duplication edit, you really do want to put it on a tripod. And the reason is so that you're not moving around and the floor or whatever is jumping around. So you're all sitting down and the tripod is still, so you're all filming at the same location. You're filming still so that you can put them together. And don't worry about it looking a little boring right now, because soon after we combine the 3 characters, we will then create some zoom effects and all of that to make it more interesting. Now this is the other person. So I have written out my script so that it is timed perfectly so that I speak a certain phrase for this center character, and then I speak another phrase for this right character, and then I speak another phrase for this left character. Now, it was not completely synchronized perfectly, but I was thinking in my head the script while I was waiting with these other 2 characters to know when I should put my magazine down and start talking, and also where I should be looking and who will be talking at the time. But this did not match up perfectly, and that's okay. And I'm going to demonstrate for you how to match these 3 up and also match the audio up in post so that all 3 of them look very seamless together and they talk one after the other seamlessly. And then I also just added a few clips which are the reels that I overlay on top of the video. For example, I started the reel with this particular scene, here, because I thought it was the most visually engaging. So I started the reel with this, and then also with the jumping scenes. And then I went into the green screen here, or the blue screen, to continue the story. I also want to point out that I have already pre-recorded an intro for this particular reel, and I named it Coffee Reel Intro. I used my Blue Yeti mic to record this on the desktop, and then I trimmed the clip and then I dropped it on my phone via AirDrop. And then this is a song that I found on a website that I pay for called Epidemic Sound. And if you go to lesson 8, you'll be able to know where I find my music, and this is one of the places. And I pay for a monthly subscription so that I have access to these, and also I pay for the subscription where I'm able to use this in paid ads, because oftentimes I work with brands and they need to push these music in paid ads, and in order to avoid copyright issues, I usually pay for that usage. Okay, so we're going to import it into CapCut later, and I'll show you how to do that. Now let's import all of these clips into CapCut. So we have imported all of the clips inside because we're going to deal with them later. First, we know that we're going to put a voiceover on top of this so we can mute this sound. Also, let's trim this because we already know we won't need the beginning parts. And we can trim this here, and let's trim this as well. Okay, that should be good enough. And then we have this in the beginning with the green screen or the blue screen. Let's start trimming these first. We can trim all the ends so that it all lines up, and then we'll deal with the blue screen and all of the other stuff. So we want to trim the coffee cups to right when it appears in the frame, and then also when it exits the frame. Sometimes I even trim it off right before, but I think that's a little short. I think we can prolong it just a tiny bit because the motion was actually very fast here. So we want people to have enough time to process what actually went on. Okay, great. And then let's trim this a bit more so that you stop right where the black covers the screen. Right here. And then let's also trim this just a tiny bit. Let's play and have a look. Feels like a bit too long. So take a look at this. I feel like the black screen in between lasted for too long. So I personally would definitely go in and trim this more because I really want it to be instant. I want it to happen really fast and be seamless instead of having people notice like, oh, this is a transition. So let's take a look now. At just $7, this training will... That's much better. Great, so let's continue from here. You'd spend $7 on a coffee. So here the speaking definitely happens too late. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the dialogue part, separate the audio from the video, and then move the dialogue forward in the timeline so that it's speaking as the coffee gets pushed out. Whereas like currently in the clip, it's speaking when the coffee is already out, like right there. And it's just not so dynamic of a frame. And we want to keep the part where we're pushing the coffee in, but we want the audio to also be there. So we'll deal with this later, but I'm just letting you know that this is something that we are going to trim later. Okay, now the last part. So let's trim the beginning, split, and remove this beginning part, and then let's find the end and trim that. Okay, now what we're going to do is let's do the beginning part before we start overlaying the last 3 clips, all right? Because we will be speeding up some stuff and some things will be moved forward in the timeline, and in these cases it's always best to handle the front part first in terms of their placement in the timeline, and then deal with the latter part later. So it's best to go in chronological order because the timeline can get pushed forward and backwards, and sometimes, especially when you separate the audio with the video, the audio will kind of get pushed along the timeline and oftentimes get lost. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to overlay this on top of this clip so that when you come out of the blue screen, you come out of this screen. And one thing I want to point out is that the movement of this blue screen coming out was a bit slow, you see, very slow, because we wanted to keep the camera steady. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the audio with the video and then speed up the video and move the audio forward. And the reason I want to do that is because if you go straight to speeding up the video, look what happens. Let's say if I'm like, okay, I want it to be 1.7. And I'm hosting a training. So you heard that chipmunk voice, right? It's really funky and it's really funny. We don't want to speed it up when there's also dialogue happening. So before we speed up the clip, we actually want to separate the audio from the clip. So what we're going to do is go to extract audio like this. And also in the beginning, there's a little bit of the videographer saying go. So we want to crop that off. So now let's go speed this up and then we'll match up the audio later. Actually, first of all, what we're going to do is go to overlay, and now we can overlay this blue screen on top of this clip. Now let's go to remove background, select chroma key so that you can select the blue color and increase the intensity and essentially delete all of the blue in the frame. You can also play around with the shadow if it helps. In this case, I don't think it really matters as much. So just the intensity is enough, and then press enter. Now let's zoom in on the timeline to make sure we're really precise here because it's happening really fast. Now that we have this video overlaying this bottom layer, we want it to come out of the phone screen and pretty much get removed as we pull the phone screen away from the camera. So what we want to do is start adding keyframes to the bottom layer because we're going to make the bottom layer smaller with each few frames in the timeline as we move the phone away from the camera. So let's take a quick look. All right. This doesn't have to be super precise because as you can see, we're pulling the phone away really fast, so you can't really see what's inside the phone beyond a certain point. But just if you wanted to make sure that there's always something in the phone, you could do this, like so, until the phone screen is hidden behind my body. So this is actually something I purposefully did when I was filming this, is that you want to take the blue screen away and then you want to face it somewhere else. Because if you keep having the blue screen, you're going to keep seeing things behind you, right? Because you'll be able to see the empty screen, right? So let's just make sure that looks good. Okay, let's play it real time. Because again, when we're scrolling on the timeline, as you can see, CapCut is always delayed and incorrect. But if we play it real time, it will be the final accurate version. That looks pretty good. All right, so what I'm noticing right now is because we're using a blue screen, so do you see like the background? There's like little bits and pieces of the background missing and it's showing up as black and it's looking really unnatural. And what we want to do is we want to avoid this, probably because we increased the intensity by too much. So let's go to chroma key again and let's reduce the intensity by just enough so that hopefully we recover the blue in the background. But now you see there's a lot of blue here. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to find the part where we remove the blue from the screen. And we're going to split this clip. And then here, what we're going to do is we're going to reset the chroma key so that there's no chroma key inside that part. But here, we keep the chroma key and we make sure to keep the intensity so that we can actually see through this blue screen. Yeah, there we go. So now you can see only for a short while, some of the blue behind you gets keyed out, but from here, all of the blue is preserved because you have removed the chroma key function from the rest of the clip. All right, so that's looking pretty good. What we're going to do now is I think the speed at which I pull my hand back with the phone is just way too slow. So I'm going to speed that up right now. Okay, let's go into speed. Let's do curve. And let's edit this curve. Let's say like 1.7 and take a quick look. Okay, that looks good, but notice how there's an empty spot in the timeline. That's because you sped up the clip and now you just need to move the back part to connect to the front clip so that there's no empty part.
Okay, now we want to match the audio with the actual video itself. So let's go to the extracted audio and just move it forward in the timeline. This will take a little bit of trial and error. We'll find the place.
And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro. And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro.
Okay, so after some trial and error, I have matched up the audio with the lips
to teach you how to edit like a pro.
And all you need. So notice now the back layer is now pushed forward in the timeline and it's no longer in the right place in the timeline. So what you can do is just add a placeholder like any even random video or just like a photo of a black screen and just place it in there as a placeholder. So I've just added just a black frame. It's very plain and it's simple, and we just get this in here and then it will continue from here into the next scene. All right.
And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro. One cafe latte, please.
Okay, so we definitely want to push this forward so that we can see most of this clip.
One cafe latte, please. And all you need is your phone. At just $7, this training will teach you how I created my best edits that allowed me to charge 5 figures per video on brand deals. You'd spend $7 on a coffee.
Okay, now we have this audio part that we want to move forward. So you can do the same thing, which is extract audio, and then just move it forward into the timelines, and then you can check to see that it is in the right spot.
You'd spend $7 on a coffee.
And now all you have to do is go in and trim this clip to the end of this audio so that this audio would connect seamlessly to the next sentence. Let's play it over and then play around with the length.
Per video on brand deals. You'd spend $7 on a coffee. So why not pay for a training?
Okay, that looks good, but we need to trim these mistakes.
Video on brand deals. You'd spend $7 on a coffee. So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your edit?
That sounds pretty good, right? So now we can continue. We have already trimmed this till the end. Let's now overlay these last 2 clips so that they're layered on top. So let's choose overlay and move it forward in the timeline. And what you want to do is find the part where, actually let's go into blend and reduce the opacity. So we know that we place the same spot. And also what you want to do is, what I did was when I finished talking here, I looked to the right, and this is the part where you want to have the magazine come down. So let's just experiment a little with placing it in the right place in the timeline.
Jan 27th. Brand deals. Jan 27th.
Let's take a look.
Followers and land higher paying brand deals. Jan 27th.
That looks good. So this is in the right place in the timeline. So then for the rest, what we want to do is just find the end of this clip and then trim it. You see where I'm waving? That is the end of this dialogue right here. Okay, so split that and delete the rest. And then we're going to take the last layer, the 3rd layer, overlay, and then just drag it over. And we're going to do the same thing and match it in the correct place in the timeline. Let's also go into blend and reduce the opacity so that we can see roughly where all 3 are placed. And right now, what we want to do is move this forward in the timeline so it matches well and dialogue-wise. Let's take a look.
Brand deals. Jan 27th. For only $7. Learn how.
Okay, that was definitely too slow, so let's move this forward.
Higher paying brand deals. Jan 27th. For only $7. Learn how I made my most creative edits in one live. Register now.
Okay, so the first part was mashed up, but obviously the last part where we should be speaking at the same time saying register now, that is not lined up. So we're going to fix that later, but let's first combine these 3 clips by using a layer mask So what we're going to do is we're going to go to mask, and we can reduce the opacity later until we know that we're doing the mask. So we have the top layer selected, the one in black. Let's go to mask, choose horizontal, and so now you can see there's a horizontal mask across the clip, and we just want to turn it so that it is vertical, and then bring it in between these two characters, and let's increase the opacity so that we can see what the blend will look like, okay? Actually, let's go ahead and also increase the opacity for the second layer so that we can see how much we need to feather the mask. Okay, so again, going back to the top layer with the mask selected, let's feather it just a tiny bit, because we're sitting very close to each other, so there's not a lot of space for us to add a feather, so you want to be careful there. Now let's select the second layer, which is the person on the right, and add a mask, horizontal of course, and then make it vertical like last time, and then just move it across here and add a tiny feather so that it blends together well. That is looking fantastic. So let's also trim the beginning parts of these clips so that it will start at the right time all together. Remember, just let it snap in the timeline so that it is perfectly matched up. So let's play this quickly again.
Brand deals. You'd spend $7 on a coffee, so why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing game so that you can gain followers and land higher paying brand deals. Jan 27th, for only $7, learn how I made my most creative edits in one
Register now. Now let's deal with the overlap of the three people. So we find the part where I start to open my mouth. Let's see, this top layer, this person in black on the left here. You see the part where I start to open my mouth here? We want to crop off right here, split that, and we want to move it forward to the right location in the timeline. So here you can see the person in green, which is the middle person, is starting to say register now. So let's move it forward all the way to this part. And then same thing for the person in white. Let's find the part where she opens her mouth right here. Split it and then move it forward roughly to here. Let's listen to it and see how we can match it up better.
Register by now. Register by now.
Okay, definitely need to move some part of it forward. There's 3 overlapping voices, so it's a little bit hard to determine like which one is out of order, but we're gonna experiment a little and figure it out.
Register by commenting the word.
Okay. The way that you can experiment this is just move one out of the way and just try and match 2 of them first.
Register by commenting. Register by commenting. Register by commenting the word. Register by commenting the words Edit Pro down below. I'll see you there.
Okay, I like these 2 audios. They're lined up really well. Now let's bring this one forward and see if we can also line it up somehow.
Register by commenting the words Edit Pro down below. Session. Register by commenting the words Edit Pro down below. I'll see you there.
Okay, this is probably as close as we can get it to match up because the person in black probably wasn't saying the same words. I'm pretty sure I got the phrase like wrong by just one word, where one of the person says register now and the other person says like register by commenting instead of saying register now. So there's a little bit of discrepancy in terms of what I'm saying. And so in this case, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to mute this person in black, and I'm going to extract the audio of the person on the right, which is the person in white. Extract audio right here. And then I'm going to duplicate this audio and move it above like this. And if you put it exactly on top, there's no point because it's just completely overlapping. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it forward just a teeny bit in the timeline like this. And so there's a tiny bit of like overlapping echo-ish type of situation that you can hear, and it will sound like there's three people talking, but really you just duplicated one of the audios. And this way it won't be as messy as three completely different people talking at different pace, and it will be more sound like three-person, but it's really like two-person, and you duplicated one. So let's take a listen.
Session. Register by comment word and arrow down below. I'll see you there.
Okay, I think this version is too echoey. So what we want to do is bring the audio even closer to each other so it doesn't sound like such an echo.
Session. Register by comment word and arrow down below. I'll see you there.
That sounds a bit better. Maybe just a little bit more forward.
Session. Register by comment word and arrow down below. I'll see you there.
Yeah, that's too echoey, so let's move that back.
Session. Register by comment word and arrow down below. I'll see you there.
I think that's fine. It's at least better than before where it was really messy and you can't really hear anybody. Okay, let's just trim the end. Let's delete this end clip. And that's sounding pretty good.
Register by comment word and arrow down below. I'll see you there.
And let's go in and just make sure all of the clips are aligned correctly in the timeline. Okay, and it ends at the same time. Great. Okay, now what we want to do is simply match this first clip here so that it lasts all the way up until here. And then match this clip and slow it down so that it goes up here, and then it will connect seamlessly with the next part. But you'll notice, remember, before they already were speaking, this person on the right, the person on the left, they're speaking. And you don't want to affect the speed of when they're speaking. Again, similar to what we said before, when there's dialogue, you don't want to speed up or slow it down because you will change the tone of the voice. So you want to go to the part where they're not speaking. For example, this black layer, she stopped speaking here. So split the clip here. And then you just want to slow down this selected part right here, the 2.5 second part. Same thing with the white. Let's go to the part where she stops talking right here. Let's split that. And you want to slow this part down. So let's go into speed. Don't choose normal because in normal you can only uniformly reduce the speed, the entire clip, by 0.1 of the speed. So you want to do curve and do custom instead because it gives you a lot of customization and you can really like only reduce it by a little bit and then test it out and see what is the right speed. Okay, let's take a look first. This will take a little bit of experimentation. Okay, you can see now the clip is a bit longer because we've slowed it down. So we just need to slow it down just a bit more so that it connects with the next clip. But not too much either so that it becomes too long. Okay, very close. A little bit slower. That's really close, just a little bit more. Okay. I think that is so close that we could probably just trim this to the beginning and then it connects smoothly. Okay, good. Now let's do the second part. This will definitely probably need to be slowed down maybe a tiny bit more because it's a shorter clip. So let's just go in and take a look. Okay, that helped. We're going to do it a little bit more. One more thing to know is that if you're going to slow down anything more, try to slow down the middle parts because the outer parts are connecting to the clip that is full speed and you want to have that be as little of a change in speed as possible. So now you can see it is super close and all we need to do is just drag it and connect it so there's no black frame in between. Now you have made sure that the duration of these clips are consistent throughout, all the timing of when they're talking is the same. So let's play it from here.
$1 on a coffee. So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing game so that you can gain followers and land higher paying brand deals. Jan 27th, for only $7, learn how I made my most creative edits in one live session. Register by comment word and arrow down below. I'll see you there.
Okay, that looks good. It looks like this frame is just jutting out a little bit, so let's just trim it. And don't worry, after we export the whole clip, we can always trim it a little bit. All right, so I think that's looking pretty good overall. Now we just want to add the audio in the beginning part. So in order to add the audio, you have your audio inside your files, right? It usually goes into the files folder when you airdrop it, and then from here, or let's say if you download it on an Android, it should go into your files. And now you just need to go into your selection of like what you want to do with it, where do you want to share it, and choose CapCut as the app and import the audio to CapCut. Whether it's an iPhone or Android should more or less be the same process. Okay.
I've made over 100 creative edits and landed multiple 5-figure brand deals as a content creator. And I'm hosting a training.
Oh, that's actually pretty close. Let's trim this beginning part until we have it at the right place.
I've made over 100 creative edits and landed multiple 5-figure brand deals as a content creator. And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro.
Okay, now our little screen, and this is not laid over in the right place. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to go into overlay. We're going to have to move this forward to roughly here, right? And move this. And now we have to match the audio. So let's move this audio forward. Let's take a look again.
As a content creator. And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro. One cafe latte, please.
That's looking pretty good now time-wise, and you'll notice that the audio is not very consistent. One is recorded in a studio or just in my room, but on like a nice mic, and the other one was recorded like in person, and so there's a bit of background noise. So what we're going to do is you can actually go in and try and treat the audio to be the same level and also just be cleaned up. So let's take a look at how to do that inside CapCut. So we have this audio. We're going to go in, we're going to increase the volume because it's obviously a lot softer than this clip, right?
I've made over 100 creative edits and landed multiple 5-figure brand deals as a content creator. And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro. One cafe latte, please.
Okay, now notice how there's a ton of noise in the background. What you can do, and this is a pro feature if you don't record the audio nice, this is something that you could potentially do in post. Go to Enhance Voice in CapCut and just turn it on. And it will do its job. It's like an AI function, so it really does quite a good job. And I mean, if you're open to paying for it, I really do think it's worth paying for.
And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro. One cafe latte, please.
I mean, just listen to that difference, right? It's a huge difference. And also sometimes if you feel like it's overdone, you can actually adjust the level in which it cleans up the background.
I'm hosting a training to
So I generally like to keep it somewhere in the middle so that it's not too overly cleaned and you can still tell that you're somewhere outside, or maybe there's like footstep sounds. You still want to keep those sounds. So now let's hope that this connects better.
5-figure brand deals as a content creator. And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro. One cafe latte, please.
That's great. Doesn't that sound so much better? So let's take a listen to the other clips and see if we need to treat that audio as well.
And all you need is your phone.
To me, that sounds pretty good, but look, I'm gonna go in and increase the volume just a tiny bit.
And all you need is your phone.
And it seems like every time I increase the volume just a tiny bit, the noise suddenly becomes really loud. So again, I'm just going to go into Enhance Voice and turn that on.
And all you need is your phone.
That looks pretty good.
At just $7, this training will teach.
Okay, let's repeat that.
At just $7, this training will teach you how I created my best edits that allowed me to charge 5 figures per video on brand deals.
As you can see, because we have adjusted the length of the clips before in front in the timeline, so it has affected this extracted audio and it got left behind, so now it's no longer synced. So you just want to make sure you go and check for any extracted audio and move it to the right place in the timeline. Okay, so now let's also increase this volume.
per video on brand deals. You'd spend $7 on a coffee, so why not?
Let's also enhance this. And then also let's do it for these as well. Okay, one more thing I noticed. Notice how there was a bit of a lag here? Because we moved these clips forward in the timeline, the overlay on top also got left behind. So this is why I said, like, don't make this mistake and always try to ensure that the length of the clips in the beginning are correct before you overlay anything or extract any audio in the end of the timeline or after that part in the timeline. So now let's just go in and let's just make sure we match it up again like this, and this as well, and this, and of course this. And so now they should all be matched up. That's good. So right now, because there's no talking here, we can just go in and enhance the voice. One more enhanced voice. Now let's play it all together.
So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing game so that you can gain followers and land higher paying brand deals. Jan 27th for only $7.
I just realized we did not increase the volume of these. Actually, what we can also do is we can just split this and only increase the volume for the part where we're actually talking so that we don't also increase the background noise of all the other parts of the clips, okay? So split here, increase the volume. Okay.
And land higher paying brand deals. Jan 27th for only $7. Learn how I made my most creative edits in one live session.
That looks good. And because this part there's no talking, let's also reduce the volume
for only
to 0. And this part as well, because this is just no talking for the person in black. So let's reduce that volume to 0. Let's take a look.
27th for only $7. Learn how I made my most creative edits in one live session. Register by commenting the word Edit Pro down below. I'll see you there.
Okay, one more thing that got moved behind again is the audio. So this audio got moved behind, so we have to move it forward like this. Okay. And let's just listen to it again.
Session. Register now by commenting the words Edit Pro down below. I'll see you.
Okay, and let's go in and enhance these.
Register by commenting the words Edit Pro.
Okay. And let's make sure that these are actually not too overlap so you can hear the difference between the two. Okay, enhance this as well. Okay, let's listen to that.
Live session. Register by commenting the words Edit Pro down below. I'll see you there.
All right, I think overall it looks good. Let's play it from the start and see if we should fix any audio, if anything got moved around, and also if the color needs fixing.
I've made over 100 creative edits and landed multiple 5-figure brand deals as a content creator. And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro. 1 cafe latte, please. And all you need is your phone. At just $7, this training will teach you how I created my best edits that allowed me to charge 5 figures per video on brand deals. You'd spend $7 on a coffee, so why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing game so that you can gain followers and land higher paying brand deals. Jan 27th for only $7. Learn how I made my most creative edits in one live session. Register by commenting the words Edit Pro down below. I'll see you there.
Okay, that looks good. Now what we want to do is just add the track, and then lastly we're going to also fix some of the colors and lighting a little bit. So now we want to go back to the files again, find the song that we want to import. Again, just import it into CapCut like this, really easy. And what I want to do is I want to find the part where the beat drops, and I want to use that as the start of like maybe here or something. Let's see.
I've made over 100 creative edits and landed.
Okay, first of all, we want to reduce this by a lot already, like first step. Because it's just the background music, right? We want to make sure it doesn't overpower the dialogue.
I've made over 100 creative edits and landed multiple 5-figure brand deals as a content creator. And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro. One cafe latte, please.
So I want the beat drop to be the part where I push out this coffee, right? So let's move the beat to roughly here, like this.
Hey, please.
I think that's much more impactful. So what's going to happen is just the first few seconds won't have sound. So what we want to do here is we want to fade in the music so that it connects naturally with the silence in the beginning. So let's tap on fade and just go fade in. Maybe we could do, 2 seconds is quite long. We could do 2 seconds.
Over 100 creative edits and landed.
The longer the fade is, the more gradual it is that the music gets louder, right? Of course. So let's listen to that.
I've made over 100 creative edits and landed multiple 5-figure brand deals as a content creator. And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro. One cafe latte, please. And all you need is your phone.
So now you notice that the volume here is quite loud for this dialogue here. So what we can do is, but we do want it to be loud when we're handing over the coffee, right? Because there's no dialogue. It's quite boring. The music helps to bridge that gap and make it more interesting. So we can just go in, let's zoom in on the timeline. Let's go in here and with the music clip selected, add a little keyframe, move forward a bit to the part where I start talking, add another keyframe, and let's just reduce the volume even more. Let's say to like 5. Let's test it out.
And all you need is your phone.
Okay, so that just helped it gradually go from the original volume, which was a 11, it seems, 11 here, and then it reduced it to a 5. So that way, also what you can do is if you want to make this coffee part even louder, you could add more keyframes here and then just go higher, maybe 25, yeah? And then this one, just also bring the volume up. Let's listen to that.
And all you need is your phone.
Yeah, I love that. I love that it gets louder when there's no dialogue and it's just hinting of the coffee. And then the moment the dialogue starts, it gradually fades down. So that's really good. And let's just see if there's any part where we need to change the audio from here.
And all you need is your phone. At just $7, this training will teach you how I created my best edits that allow.
I think this audio is probably too soft. We can't really seem to hear what she's saying.
At just $7, this training will teach you.
And also maybe this song is still a bit too loud, so I'm gonna go in and just reduce it even more to like 3.
And all you need.
And because I reduced it so much, I'm gonna move it forward a bit so it's more gradual of a reduction. Maybe we can do 7 here, and then at this clip we can do like a 4. Let's try that.
And all you need is your phone. At just $7, this training will teach you how I created my best edits that allowed me to charge 5 figures per video on brand deals. You'd spend $7 on a coffee, so why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to.
Okay. So let's also increase this volume. Let's also increase this volume.
So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to.
And I think I want to reduce this even more to like 3.
On brand deals. You'd spend $7 on a coffee, so why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing game so that you can gain followers and land higher paying brand deals. Jan 27th. For only $7, learn how I made my most creative edits in one live session. Register by commenting the words Edit Pro down below. I'll see you there!
Okay, that sounds good. Now let's just split this and remove the rest. And let's also go in and do a little fade out by going to fade and then just maybe fade out by 1 second. Now let's just take a look at all of the colors of each clip and see if we need to make any adjustments. I do think that this looks a little bit dull, so I might go in and just use auto adjust. It usually does a pretty good job. That looks pretty good. Okay, moving on. Again, auto adjust. I really like using auto adjust in CapCut because I think generally it does a really good job at brightening the clip. But this clip is already fairly bright. However, I do want to say, I think towards the end, it almost gets too bright. You see here, the highlights are a little too blown out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a keyframe here, and then I'm gonna add a keyframe here, and I'm going to, it looks like it gets brighter and brighter and brighter. So I'm gonna go in, I'm going to make this part less bright to bridge the gap between the two. And let's play it and see if that helps.
And I'm hosting a training to teach you how to edit like a pro. One cafe latte, please.
Doesn't that look so much better? So you have now gradually gone from regular exposure here now down to like reducing the brightness a little bit to match it up with the beginning. And also this one looks very bright, way too bright compared to the others. So let's just reduce the brightness. This one looks fine. And then this one looks a little dark, and it's pretty dark throughout. So let's increase the brightness here. And maybe increase the contrast a tiny bit. Okay, that's looking good. This is looking good. I think these are looking good too. And that's it. And so now we just want to export it, and then at the very end we're just going to do a little bit of editing to the last part to add more motion, so it's not like 3 static people talking for like a full 10 seconds or 15 seconds, which is too boring. So let's export this. One very important thing is you want to export it at 4K because we are going to be zooming in and out, so you will lose some of the resolution. So you want to export it at 4K, and then when you zoom in and zoom out, it will still maintain its quality. And then very last version of it, we will export it at 1080p for social media. Now let's import the exported clip back into CapCut. And now the first part, we don't actually need to do any camera movement because there's already quite a bit of camera movement. Also, I just realized we forgot to overlay the clip here that I was going to overlay. So like when I'm saying, landed me 5-figure brand deals, like that's the part where I want to overlay a clip as an example to make it more visually interesting. Because notice how I'm sitting here talking for all of these seconds. And for me, that is too much talking without any camera movements, without any overlays. So we're going to add an overlay to help support what I'm saying visually. Okay, let's just expand this so it fills the frame. Let's trim it to the part where the action is happening. Maybe right here.
Best edits that
Let's make sure this
allow me to charge. How I created my best edits.
I think when I say best is a good place to start the clip. So from here.
Best edits that allow me to charge 5 figures per video on brand deals. You'd spend $7 on.
Okay, I think let's try to trim it even more. I think this overlay also is too long, so I'm going to speed it up just a tiny bit, maybe like 1.2, and then move it backwards to when this clip starts, right here. So let's take a look at that.
Created my best edits that allowed me to charge 5 figures per video on brand deals. You'd spend $7 on a coffee.
Okay, that works. Now what we want to do is we want to go in here and find the part where this clip starts. Let's trim it so that, and let's also zoom in on the timeline, so that we can start by zooming in on this clip. So what we're going to do is we're going to start animating this and add some like zoom in, zoom out, so it looks more dynamic, right? And it looks like there's almost camera movement, but really there is none. It's just doing it in post-editing. So add a keyframe here, and then we can start zooming in like this. So what I want it to gradually zoom out as I'm speaking so that you see that, oh, she's actually sitting next to two people, right? So what we want to do is, with the first frame selected, add a keyframe so that we can start animating things. And maybe we want to zoom in a lot so that it looks like you're just one person talking, right? I think maybe this affects the resolution a little bit too much. So let's go to roughly here, okay? And then let's move forward in the timeline. And roughly to where we think it's good enough, and just reduce the size just a little bit like this. And so let's take a look.
So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing?
I think it zooms out a bit fast. So let's move this keyframe further along in the timeline, maybe here. Add a keyframe, and then let's just zoom out like this. Let's take another look.
So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing game so that
looks pretty good. So now what we want to do is go in between these two keyframes. At any frame in between these two keyframes, you'll notice that you can tap on this little curve button that's next to your keyframe diamond button. So tap on that, and you'll notice that you can add a curve, which is making the keyframe animation more dynamic. So the speed at which it is animated is no longer linear, and it follows one of these curve paths. So let's try this ease in. Maybe this ease in too looks a little more subtle.
So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level?
Let's see.
So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing game so that
I think I want the ease in to be a little bit more obvious.
So why not pay for a training that'll teach you So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing?
No. Let's do
So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level? So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to? So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to?
Ease out 3 looks pretty nice, so let's take a look.
So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing game so that you can gain followers and land higher paying brand deals?
Okay, now is the part where we want to go from here to here. We can experiment with how close the keyframes should be, but let's just try it out first. And then let's move this over, and maybe we can even zoom in a bit, like this.
Brand deals. Jan 27.
And we can add a curve in between again. Let's take a look.
Higher paying brand deals. Jan 27.
That was a bit too fast. So maybe we move it a little bit further in the timeline before adding a keyframe, like this. And let's try that and see how that looks. And let's go in and add a curve. Let's try this. That looks good. Let's take a look at it.
Higher paying brand deals. Jan 27. For
I think we wanted to stop moving before I start talking, because I don't love that it's moving and I'm talking. So let's move both of these keyframes further back, like this. And then let's add ease out, and then let's play that.
Higher paying brand deals. Jan 27.
I love it. That looks good. Okay.
Only 7.
And then let's add 2 keyframes here, and then let's move this all the way here. And then let's add a curve in between. Now let's take a look.
Paying brand deals. Jan 27. For only $7. Okay. Learn how I made my...
I think we need to move this further along the timeline.
For only $7.
Add a curve, and let's play it again.
Paying brand deals. Jan 27. For only $7.
Now, before we continue this middle part, let's add another keyframe, and let's return to having the frame being centered on the person in the middle, like this, right? And then add another curve in between.
Learn how I made my most creative edits in one live session.
And then at the very end, when we have all three talking together, let's add a keyframe and have it zoom out, okay? Zoom, and then there. And then let's add a curve. Okay, let's take a look.
Live session. Register by commenting the words Edit Pro down below.
Okay,
I'll see you there.
That was good. So let's take a look at this end part, because this is the only part we really changed.
$10 on a coffee. So why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing game so that you can gain followers and land higher paying brand deals. Jan 27. For only $7, learn how I made my most creative edits in one live session. Register by commenting the words Edit Pro down below. I'll see you there.
Okay, that looks pretty good. So I believe that is it for this clip, because we have added the overlay. Actually, now that I'm looking at the overlay, I do think it's a bit darker and also very blue compared to the other clips. So I'm just gonna go in, I'm gonna adjust the brightness a little bit. I'm probably gonna up the brilliance, maybe increase the temperature like this, and let's play it.
How I created my best edits that allowed me to charge 5 figures per video on brand deals. You'd spend $7 on a coffee, so why not pay for a training that'll teach you how to level up your editing game so that you can gain followers and land higher paying brand deals. Jan 27. For only $7, learn how I made my most creative edits in one live session. Register by commenting the words Edit Pro down below. I'll see you there.
And that is how you create this reel inside CapCut.